Hello everyone, I'm Kibitz, and today we're going to check out everything new in Satisfactory 1.0, where the secret of Sam Orr has been revealed. There's a use for the Somersloops and Mercer Spheres, there's a story in the game, and so much more that you won't even believe. But don't worry, we're not going to be talking about the story, and I'll avoid things that could potentially spoil it as well. But the Somersloops, the Mercer Spheres, some of the space elevator parts, and everything else? Well, we're getting into it. But one of the first changes I want to show off is the new hub. Look at it. We have a toilet, an interactable toilet, which you can throw things in. And of course, flush. Truly amazing. 10 out of 10 video game. They've done it. There's also, of course, tons of little Easter eggs and hidden things all around the place. Plants, a microwave, and most important, character customization. You can change your mask, your build gun, suit colors, and more. Looks good now, chop chop. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, let's move on. Wait, does this work? Coffee machine? If we got a cup, I don't know. But I do know that other changes have been made, like to the MAM. It looks all crazy and cool now. Has a little research microwave, new tech tree for alien technology. And on the topic of looks, there's a whole bunch of new decorative things that were added, like new colors and variations for the walls, where you can have chrome, copper, no paint, gold, and I forget the name of this one. I think this one is called carbon steel. They're all available in the customizer. But what's even more interesting is that you can change the basic colors of your factory to matte, default, or shiny. We're gonna be sticking to matte though, because there's so much to see, like these new fences and buildables. And look at all those colors on the pipes too. Beautiful. Of course, you can paint the belts, like the new Mark 6 belt that carries 1,200 items per minute. The belt's see-through, by the way, and don't launch me off into the void, please, thank you. And now with a fully overclocked Mark III miner, you can extract all the ores, so more items in the game. Well, not only from the belt, but because they've added in a bunch more nodes. They also removed some as well and changed some priorities, but overall, a lot more resources in the game. Back to it, more windows, new models, like I was kind of showing before, Mercer Sphere looking crazy. Supercomputers, looking pretty fancy. And the Somersloops are a lot more bright. Those are just the little changes, just to wait to the machines, but super quick. A huge change was made to the drones, where the drones now can take a variety of fuels. So they can take batteries, packaged fuel, turbo fuel, rocket fuel, a new item in the game, ionized fuel, the best fuel in the game, arguably, and then the uranium and plutonium fuel rods. Still not as good as the tractors, which aren't picky at all and can take practically everything. Now enough of the basic stuff, let's get into the crazy new machines, recipes, and space elevator parts, because the game has changed forever. We'll start though with the quantum encoder, one of the final buildings in the game that produces, that's right, power shards. You can make synthetic power shards. Is it easy? Absolutely not. You need time crystals, dark matter crystals, quartz, and excited photonic matter. Just some of the few new items in the game. And everything new is ridiculously complicated. An AI expansion server, one of the final space elevator parts, needs a neural quantum processor. The neural quantum thing needs even more crazy stuff. They also built a superposition oscillator, alien power matrix, and fixonium fuel rod. But we'll get into the radioactive stuff a little bit later because it's a little spicy. But on top of all these items being ridiculously complex to create, there's also tons of byproducts involved, variable power rates with machines, but there is a saving grace. Somersloops can multiply the output. So you can fully overclock this bad boy and add the loops, you get 5 times the production at the cost of an insane amount of power. Putting in the Somersloops increases the power usage by a lot. But the Somersloops are so much better because the Somersloops just straight up double the output. Same inputs, double the output. Again, for power out the wazoo, but power might not be a huge issue later on in the game. But we'll get to that in a bit. Because first, I want to talk about the converter. In my opinion, the greatest new building and addition to Satisfactory ever. Not only does it make the most critical 1.0 things, it also has an added ability that changes the whole game. It can convert raw resources into other resources. You can make your own uranium. Is it easy? Absolutely not. It will take a lot of power and a lot of machines. For example, you need reanimated SAM, which is processed SAM ore, combined with another resource to get the uranium. But to get the bauxite, you can set up more converters, converting caterium into the bauxite. But then you can set up more converters to make raw quartz into caterium for the bauxite. And the quartz can be made out of coal. And the coal can be made out of, wait for it, limestone. So through an incredible process, you can turn limestone into uranium. Is that really recommended? Well, I don't really know. It takes about 1,000 SAM in order to get that all processed, so quite expensive on that front. Resource-wise, it's kind of fine, but you end up with only 120 uranium, so And power, oof. So although they added more SAM nodes to the game, I don't know if this is exactly how you want to spend your SAM. It is super valuable and used for a ton of other production chains. Keeping on topic with the converter for now, you can make that ionized fuel in here with an alternate recipe, diamonds in here with an alternate recipe, time crystals, which require diamonds, and then from nothing, you can make excited photonic matter. But what's more strange is that you can convert a variety of different ingots into fixite ingots, the final material of the game, so to speak. So 240 ingots plus some reanimated SAM gets you 10. And then if you use caterium, you get 15. And aluminum, you get the most, but ugh, expensive. Like the last thing here, dark matter residue, which needs 50 reanimated SAM. And you need this dark matter residue for a lot of stuff too. So real mission critical building, and you're gonna have to be a little careful with how you use it. But back to the fixite. The fixite is used to make the fixite trigons. And the trigons are what make all of these different things. You need it for the Mark 6 belt, you need it for the quantum encoder, the neural processor box, the Fixium fuel rod, and Space Elevator Project Part 10. We're not gonna show or talk about anymore. So, valuable stuff. What you choose to do with it is going to be very important. But that's kind of why I love this game. One thing about Satisfactory, beyond other factory games, is not only do you have the alternate recipes to kind of make your factories your own, you now can convert resources and have things wherever you want and adjust factories to your own playstyle. And there isn't just one right answer or one way to go about doing things. So everyone's journey through the game will be a wildly different ride, and that is yours to discover. But along the way, pick up all the Somersloops you can, because beyond doubling output, they're used in something even more powerful. The Alien Power Augmenter. And this awesome machine can grant you tons of free power, as long as you're careful around it. Because what it does is augment your power supply by boosting your entire circuit. Oh, and it also makes you 500 megawatts out of nothing, just thin air. But the circuit boost is the big thing. Since the circuit has 500 megawatts, it gives a 10% boost, so that's a free extra 50 megawatts. So say your grid was making 100,000 megawatts. Well, you get then a free 10,000 megawatts just with one of these machines. And what if you build 2? What if you build 3? What if you build more? That's right, you can build multiple of these. But considering how powerful and useful the Somersloops are, it might not be exactly what you want to use them for. So there's so many cool decisions to make now. But back to the first machine here. I'm sure you all noticed that you can boost this machine with alien power matrices. They are ridiculously expensive, taking your SAM ore and also power shards to build. But are they worth it? Well, let's see here. Put that into there. The machine transforms. And then what does it do now? Well, the same thing, but way better. 30% extra power boost. And again, super expensive to do. But my goodness, 30% free power from one machine? Holy macaroni. That is unbelievably powerful. And honestly necessary. Like if you're gonna do some crazy uranium setup like over here, the power requirements get wild. And not only that, there's a lot more late game things you need to think about. Like the ionized fuel. It's made in a refinery, but it also needs power shards to create, along with rocket fuel. Get some compacted coal, I guess, as an extra resource at the end of the line, but still expensive. Oh, I forgot to mention, stuff can be used in the jetpack. And the rocket fuel isn't the best, except for flying vertically. If you want uppies, this is the fuel for you. But in general, the ionized fuel is just the best. It has a lot of vertical thrust, and importantly, it lasts a long time. Wicked expensive though. But hey, you can just stick to rocket fuel, which is then made in the blender. And that takes turbo fuel and nitric acid. You get a little bit of compacted coal as well, so hey, you can do some funky systems around these parts. But we're moving on to the manufacturer, which makes some new things too. Like this, the singularity cell. This is important for a variety of reasons, not only because it's used to make a lot of the endgame things, but it has a very special purpose as well. You also make the SAM fluctuator here, which is luckily not that complicated, but it does take up a bunch of your SAM, so expensive. But not as expensive as the singularity cell. It needs nuclear pasta, dark matter crystals, and a bunch of nonsense. But they're so very important, as you'll see in a little bit. Anyway, you make another space elevator part in there as well, and the uranium fuel cell. But Kibbs, why are you showing that? We already knew the manufacturer made the uranium fuel cell. Well, that's because a really important alternate recipe was changed, which used to take beacons, but now it takes rotors. So technically this recipe is more cheap. That's what'll get quite interesting. Not as interesting as the particle accelerator though, which didn't do all too much besides making pasta before 1.0, which now has a really funky new design. But now the particle accelerator can make more than that. It makes the dark matter crystals, diamonds, and the IKEA lamp, or fixonium, which is hyper radioactive and used in making fixonium fuel rods, which we'll check out very soon. But even crazier is all the alternate recipes in here. There's a ton to make dark matter crystals, and diamonds too. Like you can make diamonds out of 600 coal, which is a pretty rough proposition. But you can also use limestone in coal, which is pretty good in my opinion. You can use straight up oil, and a ton of other weird things. So there can be a lot of different variations with endgame factories. Because the diamonds are mission critical for the time crystals are used for a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, you're gonna be making a lot of particle accelerators. Oh, you guys excited for 1.0? Well, I'm gonna be starting a new Let's Play series, diving into all of this stuff. But we're still not done here, because I saved some of the best stuff for last. Like what you can do with the Mercer Spheres in 1.0. And to find out what they do, we need to travel to another area through our teleporter. You can make teleporters in Satisfactory 1.0. But my goodness, they are expensive to build and even more expensive to run. They require singularity cells to keep operational, and they can only be linked with one other portal. So there's the main portal and a satellite portal. So you can get them linked up. It charges up and uses a ton of extra power. We're in creative mode right now, so you don't really see that. And again, the singularity cells. Now you can always deselect what portal is linked with the main one and reselect another, but that uses up a bunch of your power, a bunch of your singularity cells, so it's pretty rough. But what you get is maybe priceless. Your time back. Because you're teleporting, baby. Wherever the heck you want. If that isn't the coolest thing ever, I don't know what is. And you know, people who like and subscribe are pretty cool too. But enough teasing, let's find out what the Mercer Spheres do. And I personally think the converter is the biggest game changer, but the dimensional depot could be even better. It takes a Mercer Sphere to create, along with some SAM, but it gives you a remote inventory to access. You can drop items in there, they get uploaded to your stockpile, and then wherever you are, you can access that. So you can drag and drop things into the cloud, which totally obliterates the need for storage rooms or transport trains or anything like that. No, it all goes into the box. Praise be the box. But there's some caveats with that as well. Big one being is that there is an input rate to this. So you could have a Mark 6 belt, flying items in there, but it only uploads at 240 items per minute. So you probably will have to have lots of these boxes flying around, but it's worth it, right? All of the items in the world at your fingertips, and you'll still have your inventory as well. You can pin items in here. You can search for items in here. You can dump your junk back in there. Like, it is awesome. And you get the technology through the alien technology tree. You get it a little later, because you start by researching SAM, you get the reanimated SAM, and then you get the SAM fluctuator, and that leads into the tree with the dimensional depot, with a bunch of upgrades and stuff like that. But the SAM fluctuator is made into manufacture, so you can only get them a little bit later in the game. But for now, we're gonna close that for a bit, and check out the new nuclear stuff that's going on. So there's a lot of spicy things you can create now, including the all-powerful Fixonium fuel rod. And why is this so important? There's so many ways to make power with the alien power fluctuator and all this jazz. Well, it's because you can make your nuclear setups a closed loop. Because you start with uranium fuel rods. It gives you a ton of power, 750,000 megajoules. But of course, it makes nuclear waste. But you can use the nuclear waste to create plutonium fuel rods. And these make way more power, 1.5 million megajoules. But again, the same kind of problem. You end up now with plutonium waste. And until now, you're stuck with that forever. But with the Fixonium fuel rods, you can use plutonium waste to build them, throw these into a power plant, and it just produces power, but with no waste. So nuclear waste in all of its forms is solved. Mind you, the Fixonium fuel rods aren't the best. They only make 150,000 megajoules. So really their purpose is to get rid of waste. And man, it might be just easier to store the nuclear waste and stuff. Because to make those fuel rods, it's a journey. You need all of this stuff, along with Fixonium, which requires the plutonium, a singularity cell, and dark matter residue. Plus you have to deal with the dark matter residue byproduct from making the fuel rod. So that's a lot of different steps. And all these machines take a ton of power, so, oof. But I think this process is really interesting. But that's a lot of building there. And I guess that's really the one big issue with 1.0. You have tons of power options, you have all these new supply chains, and Somersloops are fantastic because they can double the output. But man, so much building. If only there's a way to build more quickly. Well, guess what? There is. There's now a Mark 1, Mark 2, and Mark 3 Blueprint Designer. The icing on the cake for Satisfactory 1.0. So you'll start with this, maybe making a bunch of blueprints for smelters, move on to the bigger Blueprint Designer, and eventually have the Mark 3. And having a 6x6 grid to design with makes so much more possible. But blueprints and building is going to be more fun than ever because one last feature they added changes everything. Straight build mode. 90 degrees everywhere. It's beautiful. So good luck on your Satisfactory 1.0 journeys. Well, that is gonna be all from me for now. So if you enjoyed, again, remember to leave a like, subscribe for the Let's Play. I'm gonna be starting soon. And until next time, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and bye-bye.